Hey guys, what's going on? Happy Friday. Hope you guys are having a good day. Got me some vodka and some lemonade going on here. Good vodka, by the way. I don't drink cheap vodka, but that's just me. How y'all doing? How's everything going this week? Hope everything's great with you guys. Um, wow. Before I get started, I want to throw out some thanks to some people here. I want to thank the guys from Sunday Night Vinyl Confessions that I hung out with last Sunday in the live stream. Hopefully, some of you guys saw that. Steve from All the World's a Stage, and Trevor from Flat Round and Spun, and Marsha P. I want to thank them for having me on the show. It was a really good time. I also want to thank Vinyl Richie for shouting me out in his show last week. And man, I got a whole bunch of new followers. So thank you guys also. I want to thank all of you for watching the live stream and watching the show and subbing and everything else. I literally tripled my subs in less than a week. It's pretty cool. So I really appreciate you guys out there in the vinyl community. Hope you're all having wonderful times. So, all right. So this week I was thinking about what I want to do and things. So what I've come up with is another one. I talk about finding these records that I found, and some of those records that I found I've never played. So this week, I listened to a few of records that I've owned for a while. It's been almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in October since I found all those records in the dumpster. So, like I said, some of them had never been played, and I got a bunch more. Some of them I've never put on the turntable. So I put some on the turntable today, listened to for the first time, listened to the vinyls for the first time. Some of these records I knew or whatever, but so I'm going to talk about those. So let's get started. 1983, Rainbow, Bent Out of Shape. There's the cover. This is for, like I said, from 1983. It's on Polydor. This one's made in West Germany. There's the inner sleeve that came with that. And it's got that cool red Polydor sleeve. Pull that out a little bit, give you a better view of that. All nice and shiny, So yeah, these were. So I listened to this. The thing with Rainbow for me, Rainbow was one of those bands that was kind of always around. This comes out in '83, so this is their seventh studio album overall, and basically it's the last one with Joe Lynn Turner and Roger Glover on bass, and David. Hell, I can't even read my own thing on the keyboards. It's basically their last album. It'll be 12 years before Rainbow puts out another album, and it's the last one with Joe Lynn Turner. The thing is with Rainbow for me is because I remember this album. This has Street of Dreams on it. Track listing: Stranded, Can't Let You Go, Fool for the Night, Fire Dance, Anybody There, Desperate Heart, Street of Dreams, Drinking with the Devil, Snowman, and Make Your Move. Street of Dreams was, in '83 was all over MTV, but then Rainbow kind of disappeared. So, me at '83, I was 14 years old, and Rainbow was just one of those bands that existed, but we weren't really into Rainbow. By then, kids my age, people I knew, were listening to the modern stuff at the time, Twisted Sister and Rat and Motley Crue and stuff like that, and Slayer and Metallica and things like that. So we weren't really paying attention to Rainbow. This album, it's a little progressive sounding in my taste. It's pretty heavy on the keyboard, but it sounds really good. And Richie Blackmore is an amazing guitar player. I mean, one of the greatest that ever was. Some of the things like guitar solo I wrote down here. And Desperate Heart, amazing guitar solo. Of course, the song Street of Dreams is a killer track that, I've heard plenty of times. I remember having a cassette back in the day, one of those metal compilation things. The Street of Dreams was on there. I did even like the instrumental song called Snowman on here, and I'm not really big on instrumentals a whole lot. It's kind of an AOR sound. This is a little bit softer. This is way different than the Dio Rainbow. which I have a couple of those. I've been listening to that. Of course, if you go back, you see I did Richie Blackmore's Rainbow early on the show. But it's, mixed well, produced well. It's a great pressing, and it's got Richie Blackmore and Joe Lynn Turner on it. So, I mean, great voice and great guitar player. So, overall, I give this album 4 stars. So, that's the first one I listened to. Then later that day, I pulled out this Queen, The Game, 1980, Electra, Japanese pressing, obviously. So let's see here. This is their 8th studio album overall, and it went to number 1 in the UK and in the United States. It came Japanese pressing, so I've got, this is one of the inserts. Got a cool picture of the band. English lyrics here on the back. Here's the Japanese insert that came with it. And it also has this cool little, I'm assuming this is an order form of some kind. Some of my Japanese pressings still have this in them. I don't know if they all came with them, but this one does. So, and there's your, let's see here. There's the label right there. Like I said, all nice and shiny. Beautiful record. Great sounding record overall. Well produced, of course. So, I didn't really care for the opener on this album. First song, Play the Game. I didn't really like it so much. But then, the song Dragon Attack comes on next. And that's a killer song. So, and Brian May's guitar work on that is incredible. And then another one, Bites the Dust, comes out. Then Need Your Love Tonight is after another one, Bites the Dust, and Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Both those songs kind of have a 50s feel to it. Then side 2, Flip It Over, Rocket, Prime Drive comes on. Didn't like that song either. Sail Away, Sweet Sister, Coming Soon, Save Me. Coming Soon kind of has a cool punk beat, Sail Away, Sweet Sister is a decent song with some guitar work. And Save Me, it's just okay in my opinion. Overall, in this album, I think side 1 is really strong, but I think side 2 kind of pales in comparison compared to it. Great band. Freddie Mercury, Brian May, Roger Taylor, John Deacon on bass. I think Brian May is a great guitar player. Roger Taylor is a great drummer. And I think John Deacon is probably underrated. Nobody really talks about him in the worlds of bass, And Freddie Mercury's Freddie Mercury. And some people like him and some people don't. And honestly, myself, I don't particularly, it's not that I dislike Freddie Mercury. I'm just not a huge fan. I only give this album 3 stars. And, I know it's a number 1 seller and it's got all those cool songs on it, but I'm just not a fan of Queen. I just never have been. I don't get it. I know that's blasphemous or whatever, but I don't get people's thing with Queen. I don't get this, yes, Brian May's a good guitar player. Yes, Roger Taylor plays the drums fairly well. They're a very talented band. But overall, I just don't understand people's obsession with Queen and how they're talked about that they're this greatest band ever or whatever. I just don't get it. It's just not my style or whatever. I don't like it. Last week in the during the live stream, Steve said, I think this sucks, and not saying that it does suck, saying that he thinks something sucks. And me, I don't like this. I'm not saying this isn't any good. I'm saying I don't like this. That's all. So 3 stars. So next record, Montrose. Warner Brothers Presents Montrose is the name of this album. It's from 1975, Japanese pressing. This is their 3rd album overall. Went to number 79 in the U.S. This is not Sammy Hagar and Montrose. This is their first album without him. It's also, let's see here. I wrote some notes here. Hell, I don't know. This is the first time they've added keyboards to Montrose. So the first 2 albums that they did, there was no keyboard player. Ronnie kind of, this is a really good record. I mean, it starts off with a song called Matriarch, which is a pretty cool song. It really shows, it starts off strong. The second song, All I Need, is a little bit slower, but it's got some really cool guitar work. It really shows Ronnie's guitar work on there. This is a pretty cool record. There's the insert on it. Sorry, see, look, I got out of order. I usually talk about, I know this opens. There it is. There's the inside, the Japanese writing, picture on the front. There's the back has got lyrics. I think this is a good album. This is a really good hard rockin' album. There's a song on here called Whaler, which I liked a lot. It's kind of slow and it's got some keyboards and it's like the sound of an ocean. It's a song about a guy being on a whaling ship, essentially. Overall, I think this is a really good album. Side 2, I think, is the stronger side of the two. Side 2 has Dancing Feet, Oh Lucky Man, 1.5, Clown Woman, and Black Train. I think side 2 is the better side on this record. Overall, this is a strong rock album. It's very cool. I'm going to give it 4 stars. It's got the cool Warner Brothers label on the inside, the old school with the palm trees and all of that. This is a pretty cool record. I have this, and I had the first Montrose album, which was another one of those finds. And I'd listened to the first one with Sammy Hagar. I'd never played this one until this week. I actually like it a lot. Ronnie Montrose is a really good guitar player. The songs are well written and well balanced. I like it a lot. I think it's a pretty freaking cool record. So here's another one that I'd never played, although we've all heard this record probably 1,000 times. Journey, Escape, 1981, Japanese pressing. This is their 7th album overall, went to number 1 in the United States and number 32 in the United Kingdom. It's the first album with Jonathan Cain on the keyboards, and it starts with Don't Stop Believin', Stone in Love, Who's Crying Now, Keep on Running, and Still They Ride. I mean, all 5 of those songs are radio hits. That's side 1 on this record. Then side 2, Escape, Lay It Down, Dead or Alive, Mother, Father, and Open Arms. So there's like 7 or 8 radio hits on this one record. Like I said, number 1 in the U.S. I think this thing sold over 10 million copies. So, I mean, what can you really say about this record? I've heard this before, obviously. I've heard this multiple times in my life, but I'd never played this actual vinyl. So that's why I pulled it out and played it. And I'm kind of trying to think of when I've owned it, and I've never owned it in the past. So, but, I mean, this album's from 1981, and after Escape is Frontiers, and Journey was huge when I was that age, when I was back, in high school or whatever. There's the insert. It's got the lyrics, Japanese lyrics. The back has more English. This one also had another cool little order form, not quite as cool as the last one. There's no pictures of the band or anything on it. So, and since I don't read Japanese, I'm really not sure. I'm guessing it's an order form the way this thing's designed. There's the label, cool record. I was surprised, when the album started, of course, the first, like I said, all those songs have been on the radio seemingly forever, right? It starts off with Don't Stop Believin', Stone in Love, Who's Crying Now, and Keep on Running. And then Still They Ride, when I saw it on the list, when the song started, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that song too. And then side 2, as you're listening to it, I'm like, oh, I know that song also. All 5 songs on side 1 have had radio play. And side 2 starts with Escape. And you're like, oh, I know that song. As I'm listening to it, I'm realizing I know all of this record, but I've never owned it before until this. So probably heard it from being in high school and being at parties or having friends. I did have friends that were a little bit older. This came out in 81. I was only 12 when this album came out. Journey, I had friends back then. You're in junior high. I had friends who were a little bit older who were introducing me to music. I remember one of them was a big Journey fan, so I probably heard the whole album multiple times then. And you just grow up. It's been around for 40 years. You know all of these songs. This is a 5-star record, obviously. AOR sound, of course, but that's okay. In the mood for it. It's one of the greatest, probably one of the greatest AOR albums that's ever been done. 10 million copies, 10 million plus, as far as I can tell. So, but yeah, first time listen, first time it's ever hit. And I got like 5 more Journey albums over there that I've never played, because part of me is like, Journey, they were one of those bands, just like when you hear about Montrose or Rainbow or whatever, even Queen, for me, at the age I was, those were bands that were before my time. Those were bands that have always been around or whatever, and we're listening to more modern music at the time. So they're just one of those bands that's always been there. And they're not metal. So as a kid, as a teenager, I was a metal person. So yeah, we didn't have any problem going back to the 70s and listening to Sabbath and Maiden and things like that, but we weren't seeking out Journey or whatever. Although I used to play the hell out of the video game back in the day. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember when Journey had a video game. So put a quarter in, you get to play as the security guard or whatever. I remember that vividly. So I think it existed in real life. So those bands, these 4 bands I talked about, that's why I don't like really seek this out. I'm not really looking like, oh, let's listen to Journey today, because I never have been one of those guys like, let's listen to Journey. They were just the bands on the radio. We'd see the videos. Of course, by the early to mid 80s, Steve Perry had left and started doing his own solo stuff, which I didn't really care for. I mean, Oh Sherry was a huge hit, but to me, that song is terrible. So I think it sucks. Did you hear that, Steve? I'm just kidding. Whatever. So yeah, that's why, I've had these records for a few years since I found them, and I just haven't played them because it doesn't come to the top of my head like, hey, let's listen to Journey. So that's why I decided I'd try this first spin thing again, So, and I got a few more. I could probably do the same thing with records I've never played that I've had that I've never played, because I don't run to REO Speedwagon. I don't go to Journey. I don't go to Ted Nugent. I don't go to those bands for something to listen to off the top of my head. I don't think about them. I'm not playing them. So I've got a whole bunch of records I've never played. So I'm going to do this episodes. I'll do more of these in the future. So anyway, thanks again for subscribing. And, tell your friends. They get like 30 more. I can hit 200. So that'd be cool, Thank you all for watching. Thank all the guys in the Vinyl community. Thank, all the guys I thanked at the beginning for helping me out. You guys have all been awesome. Everybody in this community, since I sort of inserted myself into it, when I first started this show, I didn't even know the vinyl community existed. I just wanted to talk about records. And then I started seeing these hashtags, and I just started hashtagging my videos, and I started figuring out what these guys were doing, and I started commenting, and then next thing I know, I've got MGK Boston, and I got Steve from All World Stage, and Trevor, and these guys talking about me and helping me out. So I really appreciate it. When I started this, I was just a guy. I wanted to talk about music and didn't think anybody would watch it all. So the fact that, I've hit 170 subs and I'm getting more and more views really makes me happy that people are enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying what you guys are doing too. So thanks once again. You guys have a great weekend, a great rest of your week. Cheers to all, and I will talk to you all next week. Have a good one. Later, guys.